Hey guys, my name is Santana Stevenson and I'm going to be talking to you about the Patchwork Quilt. It was written by Valerie Flanoy and it was illustrated by Jerry Pickney. This is a realistic fiction book. A realistic fiction means that it could happen, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it has happened. The illustrations by Jerry Pickney are really great in this book. I really enjoyed them. He's really detailed, which is awesome. Like, you can see like the texture of what their hair is. You can see like the wrinkles on her face, the youngness in hers, the wrinkles in their clothes. It's just really good, and I like the colors that he used. I really liked this book. So this book is about a girl named Tanya and her grandma. Tanya has been sick a couple of weeks, and so she can't go outside to play with her brother, so instead she goes and hangs out with her grandma. When she goes in there with her grandma, she notices that grandma is surrounded by a bunch of scrap materials, and she doesn't understand why she's going to use those to make a quilt. So grandma explains that she's making a patchwork quilt, which is a quilt that's going to tell their family story. So she's going to be using a bunch of materials from like old shirts, old jackets, old pants, old blankets, just stuff like that around the house that she can get a hold of. Tanya decides that she's going to help her grandma do this, and so her mom doesn't really understand why she's going to help her because she doesn't see the importance of it, but Tanya does indeed help her. Eventually, grandma explains to mom why this is such an important quilt, and so then mom is going to help them make the quilt as well. And so then you have all three of them are working together to make this quilt. However, grandma gets sick and has to pause on the quilt making, so Tanya picks up where grandma left off, and with the help of her mother she learns how to sew, and she gets her two brothers to cut out and organize the patterns for the quilt. Tanya, when she's almost finished with the quilt, she realizes that something is missing and she just can't put her finger on what it is. So she takes a break from the quilt, and everyone doesn't know exactly why she took a break, but she took a break to figure out what was missing. She eventually realizes that what was missing was her grandmother. Everyone else in their family had articles in there except grandma. So Tanya sneaks into grandma's room and cuts pieces out of the quilt that grandma's mother made for her when she was a child, which is kind of risque. So then Tanya adds those pieces in. Grandma feels better and finishes the quilt. And then this is their quilt finished. It's really pretty, and everyone is like looking through to see where exactly they are in the quilt. And then grandma gives Tanya the quilt at the end as a gift. I really liked this book. It was really fun to read. It's not boring. It's cute. It's very like wholesome and loving. I would use this with kindergarten or first grade when talking about the importance of family and who exactly is family and relations and stuff like that. For an activity, I would get them each to draw and color family portraits, and then it would have to be something that was culturally relevant to them and their family. And then for my ELL students, I would go through and explain some of the dialogue in the book because it is definitely a lot of slang in here and a lot of old speaking. A lot of misspelling, so that you read the word exactly how they want you to say it. And so I would explain why it's written like that and the correct words to be using. And I would encourage my ELL students to really pull their culture into their family portrait. Then, once everyone has finished their family portraits, I would staple them all to a bulletin board so that the kids could see our own classwork or classroom patchwork quilt, so that they would know that our space is, even as a class, we are a family, and we're also a safe space that the children can come and learn and be comfortable with their differences, and just a way to celebrate their differences by seeing their peers' different family cultures. And that's how I would use the Patchwork Quilt in the classroom. I really recommend this book because it's just really fun to read. Thank you for your time.